Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm cooking cauliflower. So it's going to be a side dish. What I'm going to do is square it off. All those side pieces can go into a pan with some milk, and we're going to make a cauliflower puree. The center part, the steak, we're going to cook it off in a pan with some butter, and then I've got some herbs and capers to use to make a little dressing, and then I reckon we're just going to top it off with some toasted almonds. So that's the idea. We're going to see how it plays out. If it's good enough, it's going to hit the menu as a side dish, and if nothing else, then I think it will be a tasty little number just to have tried and see if it works. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to get on is my cauliflower. So I'm just going to square it off. We have to keep where the root is. That part is going to have to be holding everything together, so that's going to be the piece that we fry off. So all of this can just be chopped up, just stick that in a pan, and then we're going to have our steak to cook off. So we're going to have quite a lot of cauliflower puree, but that's a good thing. So you can add some milk, pretty much just so everything is just about submerged, because as that cooks down, we can add a little bit more liquid later on if we need it. And then I've just got a little bit of onion that I'm just gonna throw in there, and 1 clove of garlic can also go in. Okay, so we just stick that on the back heat. We'll bring that up to the boil, and then as soon as it hits the boil, you just reduce the temperature so it ticks over, make sure it's all cooked. And then in the meantime, we can just pan fry this guy and make the dressing. Okay, so before we cook the cauliflower off, so the puree will still be hot, we just make up the dressing so it's ready. So what I've got here is I've just got some herbs. So I've got some coriander, I've got some parsley. Can just tear that off and throw some of that in, and I've got some basil, but pretty much you can just use whatever herbs you want. I reckon sage would work really nicely with the cauliflower and almonds, so you could cook the cauliflower in time, but just want to keep it so they are soft herbs, so you're not going to get that bite afterwards. So there's some basil, and then I've got about 2 tablespoons worth of capers, and then half a clove of garlic. So that's just going to go straight in, and then I'm just going to add some squeeze of lemon juice, and that's just going to give it a bit of lift and freshness. So we can throw in some oil, stick the lid on, and then just blend it up. And that's it. And you basically just want to put enough oil in there to get the blade moving, and then once the blade's moving, then it's just gonna flow a lot more easily, and then you can just stick that in a bowl until we're ready for everything else. So this has come up to the boil now, so we can just turn that one down. Okay, so that's cooking away nicely. So we can just start with this, and just going to go in with a little bit of oil to start with, and then we can put our cauliflower steak straight down on top of that, and then we're just going to bring it up to the temperature, get a nice bit of colour on there, then we add some butter to give it a really nice nutty flavour and get it really dark. So we're going to have this white puree sitting on the base, and then a golden piece of cauliflower sitting on top. So we're just going to fry that one off. We might need to go through into the oven, but we're just going to see how we go for now. Okay, so we're starting to get some nice colour on there. So that's on the lowest heat now. So I'm just going to turn the oven on, preheat the oven at 170, and we're going to have to put, because it's such a thick piece, we're going to have to go into the oven for a few minutes. And if you were actually to do this at home, it would be the easier way of doing it anyway, just so you don't have so many things to control. You can just heat it up in there, and then you'll be good. So that's got a nice piece of colour on it now. So I'm just going to flip it over. And I've got a piece of butter here. So we can go in, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to baste it. And it will just give it a really nice nutty flavour and a dark colour. So actually got a clove of garlic, just throw that in as well, just to give it a bit more flavour. And then we're just gonna nappe that until we've got a really nice dark colour on there. And I want to cook this until it's really, really soft, so you can almost, you know, just scoop it up with a spoon. If you don't want to do it like this or have the time, I'm sure you could just brush it all with butter, line a baking sheet with some baking paper, with parchment paper, and then just put it in the oven. So just going to flip it over and see how it looks. That's looking pretty good. So this has got enough colour on. So what I'm going to do is just a touch more butter, just to bring the temperature in the pan down, and then I'm going to go into the oven. And we're just going to cook that off for about 6 to 7 minutes. Just see how this cauliflower is coming along. So this is all starting to break up really nicely now. Okay, so just turn that off, and then just going to put this into the blender. If you can leave the milk behind, then it will be better, just because you don't want it to be too thin. And then if it is too thick, you've got that milk then to add to it, so you can adjust the consistency. Let's have a look at that. So that consistency actually looks all right. So it's like holding itself. So I won't need to add any extra milk to that. We can just leave that as it is. So I'm just going to blend it again to make sure it's ultra smooth, and then that will save me from putting it through a sieve. All right. So let's have a look at this. Wow, it's looking nice. Just got a skewer to check it, and then we can just spike that, and the skewer is going through really easily. So that is ready. Okay, so that's it. That's everything I need. So just gonna spoon that around the base. That can go over. Put that there in the center. Just fill that piece in that fell off. Can just drizzle over a bit more of this herb salsa. I've got my almonds. Can crumb those over, sprinkle those over. And then just to be fancy, because it is going to be for a dinner party dish, hopefully, I can just sprinkle over some little micro salad. So what's a dish without micro herbs, eh? And that is it. I think that looks like a tasty little side number. So let's give it a go. Yeah, you can just break it with a spoon. So super soft. Make sure to get some salsa, some puree, some nuts. Just grab some nuts. Yeah, that's making the menu. That's pretty awesome. So I love it. You got the nuts for the crunch. You got silky smooth puree there. You got the texture of the cauliflower. Micro herbs just make it look nice. And then that sauce, that lemon juice, gives it a nice little bit of lift. The herbs balance it out. And then even if you don't like capers, they've got to go in there because they just give it such a nice finish. So that's an awesome little number. Give it a go. It's yeah, it's definitely worth it. So look at it. So just a garnish for a steak or whatever, it would just be perfect. So give it a go. If you like this video, hit the bell, hit the subscribe, give me a like. It goes a long way. So Until the next one, happy cooking, and I'll see you there.